Hello, everyone. Welcome to another and the final episode of Firm Returns Weekly for 2023. We've got largely the focus today is going to be on Warner Brothers Discovery. We've got news of an acquisition, not Paramount, a much smaller one, and I'm going to give a bit of an update on how Aquaman and Wonka of Aquaman 2 and Wonka have been doing in theaters. So let's share my screen. Okay. So yeah, we found out that Warner Bros. Discovery has acquired BluTV, which is a subscription video on demand, or SVOD, service in Turkey. I believe they've been around since 2016, or maybe 2018. And I think they're one of the largest, I think they are the largest streaming platform in Turkey. And there's been a strategic sort of partnership between Discovery prior to becoming Warner Brothers Discovery and BluTV since 2021. And as part of this strategic partnership, Discovery originally basically acquired a 35% stake in BluTV, and with that investment, there was the optionality to invest further and make it a full takeover, a 100% acquisition, if they so wished. They haven't disclosed any kind of details of how much it cost or whatever, stuff like that, which I'm kind of surprised by. I would have thought they would have done that, but yeah, they haven't given any details of that. But we know that, I mean, with that partnership they had with Discovery Plus in the past, they actually basically allowed with Discovery, they actually allowed Discovery Plus was available to BluTV subscribers, and I think after the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, they then started to put some HBO shows and other Warner Media films and so on the platform. But yeah, there was a statement made by Jamie Cook, who was the general manager for the Middle East and Turkey at Warner Bros. Discovery. And he had to say that Turkey has been an important investment territory for us for over 20 years. And the acquisition of BluTV brings Turkey's first local subscription video on demand player into our portfolio. The combination of compelling Turkish content and a broad range of the best international series and shows from Warner Bros. Discovery is an unbeatable recipe to be locally relevant and successful. Together, we bring Turkish audiences the most compelling viewing experience and expand the reach of Turkish content globally. So yeah, we have to see how that works out. But I believe BluTV has now expanded beyond Turkey as well, so it's available in some other Middle Eastern markets. So yeah, it looks like it's a way of expanding and getting a bit more of a foothold into that part of the world for WBD. So I also I thought it'd be good, because this is one of the, there's not much going on other than the surprise year-end acquisition here. Not much else going on sort of business-wise with a lot of companies towards the end of the year. We'll have to wait till January or whatever to find out how the holiday trading went. But we did, for Warner Bros. Discovery, have a couple of movie releases, films in theaters over the Christmas and New Year period. So we know the first of those was Wonka, which came out sort of the week before Christmas, I think, in the US, and it was like 2 weeks before Christmas in the UK and other parts of Europe, into some international markets. And then the Christmas weekend, so 22nd, I want to say, 22nd, maybe 23rd, we had Aquaman and The Lost Kingdom, the second Aquaman film, come out. So we've had, like I say, about a week or two, depending on the market, Wonka running, and then before Christmas, and then Aquaman releasing and just running over the Christmas period. So yeah, let's have a look. So Wonka has been on a real tear with the worldwide box office currently sitting at 281,874,489, and the expectation that it will lead this weekend's takings. So this would have been the 30th and 31st of December. I'm saying this weekend. And I think it was expected to do something like another 28 million just in the US. And we'll see as well further down that it's been doing very well internationally. And in particular, I think the top market has been the UK, which is kind of understandable given that it's based on a very much loved children's sort of book. Not exactly on that book, but in the world of that book. It's a bit of an origin story for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is written by Roald Dahl, which is a very famous British author. So unsurprising that this is going to be a big market for it. But yeah, we'll get onto that in a minute. But yeah, so it's already past the 100 million mark in the US. And it's actually, as you can see from this graph here, the numbers.com provides this quite good box office graphs where they have like a shaded area which sort of represents the band in which 95% of all movies fall after predicted from their opening weekend. So you can see like how they're doing relative to relative to past movies that had the same sort of opening weekend numbers. And you can see here that it's been trending it's been sitting nicely towards the upper half of the sort of shaded area since release, and it's actually now broken out above the shaded area, so it's sort of in the top 5% or higher for similar movies that had similar opening weekends. So doing really, really well. And I'd expect it's already, I don't know how much marketing was done, but it's probably very likely to be profitable at its theatrical release even before it goes through the other windows. And we've got a comparison here as well. So I've done a comparison with The Greatest Showman, which I think was the most recent sort of musical film released over the Christmas holiday. And this was back in 2017. I seem to recall Hugh Jackman being the lead in that one. But you can see here that so that film did around about $175 million in total in the US. And you can see that we're already just on the curve here. We're already at a far steeper trajectory than that movie had. So yeah, we're looking set that we could be doing at least similar numbers to see whether this rolls off. But at the moment, it's looking like a pretty good one. So it's been a bit of a good year because I think Barbie had some musical elements as well. So the two sort of, and I think there's also The Color Purple, which is coming out from Warner Bros. Discovery at the moment. But that's a more niche film, I think. And I think it's already sort of rolling off. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see, as we'll see in a second. So last weekend, the Christmas weekend, we had Aquaman 2 sort of took the top spot, as you might expect, being the new release and so on that weekend. But now Wonka is actually going back, and they're going to reclaim. It looks like it's going to be reclaiming the top spot for this weekend that we're in now. So yeah, really quite a good run for that film. And yeah, as I was saying about the international markets, it's done. So as of the 24th of December, so that was quite a while ago, the data is not as up to date as the US domestic data. It had done $38,100,000 of box office ticket sales, and I'm pretty sure it must be well over that now. We're another week ahead of that. So, and it's been running all that time, and I think I could see it being by the end of this, or by today, the end of this weekend, comfortably 50 million or more. So it's been doing really. I mean, if you just have to look at the UK if I look at my local cinema here in the UK, you can see that there's sort of like it's a fairly small cinema, so it's not a really massive multiplex. I think it's only got 4 screens, so just take it with that context. But they have something like 5 or 6 showings of Wonka each day, and something like Aquaman or has only got 1 or 2. So yeah, it's really the most popular movie, or certainly the movie that they think they can fill the most screenings with at the moment here in the UK. Another market behind that is Mexico, doing particularly well as well. So yeah, things aren't looking quite so rosy for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which didn't have the best of opening weekends, with revenue of 27,700,000. So that was the Christmas weekend. So actually lower than probably we're going to get for Wonka in the coming weekend. And I'm not sure about Aquaman actually, but it might be a similar sort of number, 27, around about 26, 27 million again for this coming weekend. But yeah, it's, as I say, less than predicted for Wonka in its 3rd weekend. So yeah, not so great considering the production value is probably, but the budget is probably about twice as high. But it has shown pretty good legs, with an above average run following its slow start. So this is another one which is actually, given that initial opening weekend, you would have expected it to have a pretty mediocre, sort of fairly flat run after that, given that's what his other movies would have done historically. But I think it's been skewed a little bit by the 4-day Christmas and weekend and all that kind of stuff. But and New Year's Eve being on a Sunday and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's basically broken out well above that, and so it is looking like it's pulling back a little bit of a recovery, and it's been doing quite well in China, which is somewhere where it previously, the first movie did quite well. It's broken past the $30 million mark as of, it's the 24th or something. So pretty good opening weekend in China. In fact, I think it did a better probably opening weekend in China than it did in the US. But yeah, it's well behind where the first movie was in the US domestic box office sales, as you can see on this graph here. Yeah, I think it's going to be lucky if it might break 100. It might break through 100 million, just because there's not that much competition for this kind of movie, I guess, coming in the next few weeks. So it might extend its run a bit and break through the 100 million, but it's not going to get. I doubt even it would get. I'll be surprised if it even got half of the north of 350 million that the first movie did in the US, and over $1 billion globally. So yeah, it's not looking quite so good for Aquaman, and I think the reviews have not been great either, and they're probably having a bit of an impact. But yeah, so but I think on balance, the success of Wonka is helping to offset the worst performance of Aquaman, which I don't think was, certainly in the last few months, all the rhetoric has been pretty negative towards it anyway, that it's not going to be. I don't think anybody inside the company and the early screenings and rest of that were saying that this was going to be pretty poor. So it's kind of doing all right, given that those fairly low expectations. But yeah, obviously it's going to be one that's maybe going to struggle to break even. I think it'll probably do fine once you add in the other windows and so on of revenue generation, but it's not going to be a major success. Certainly not going to do anything like the numbers the first movie did. But we got a pretty big slate for next year. So I think one of the earlier ones to look at is Dune Part 2. I think that's coming in March. Then we've got Furiosa as well, which is like a kind of prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. And then there's the second Joker film coming out, which also features Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. And yeah, and then there's quite a few. I think we've got True Detective TV series featuring, I can't remember her name now, the lady who played Clarice Starling in the original Silence of the Lambs film. Jodie Foster, yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, and quite a few other fairly big series. The Regime as well looks quite good. And yeah, so quite a few fairly big things coming out and things to look forward to. And I don't think there's, I think other than Joker, I don't think there's any other DC films coming out next year. And I think I don't think there's anything other than Deadpool 3 or something like that coming out from Marvel. So it's going to be a pretty, considering how many have come out this year and sort of flooded the market a bit, it's going to be a pretty sparse year next year. And the next one we're going to see from Warner Brothers Discovery is going to be Superman Legacy in 2025. So yeah, but I think there is so there's the Joker, and then there's which is of a standalone thing, quite separate from the rest of the DC universe or whatever. And then there's they're doing the Penguin spin-off series from the Batman film, Matt Reeves Batman film. I think Matt Reeves is also directing the TV series, so that's going to be another thing. And I think there's going to be a next season of House of the Dragon as well. Yeah, that's another big thing. So quite a lot of content coming out in the next year, but steering away a bit from a heavy focus on the superheroes and DC, whatever. So that's going to be more spread out and on key projects going forward. I'm not sure when the Harry Potter series is going to start. That might be 2025 or something as well. Guessing they're looking to start. Then maybe we'll be filming 2024. Who knows? But and there's also the new Lord of the Rings films that they were looking at as well. I think there's an animated one, War of the Rohirrim, coming out in 2024. So yeah, there's quite a lot of good stuff. Set for next year. So, and that's yeah, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but quite a lot. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Like I say, this will be obviously the last episode for the year. I'm currently working on a write-up. I've done pretty much all the research for it now, read through all the annual reports since its IPO in 2021, etc. for DSW Capital. This is a company I actually did an interview with Tristan Wayne for. I think I might have shared that interview, but you can find it on YouTube anyway, or I think it'll be some other podcast players as well. But I did that for the Punch Card Investing YouTube channel. That interview's on there, so if you want to check it out, have a look at that as a sort of a little precursor for it. But I'll be doing a write-up, having done a deep dive on it now. And so hopefully that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be I'll probably do something similar to what I did with some of the more recent Tiny Board updates in terms of video and audio. Is I'll put a section into my weekly show, let's say, these weekly episodes. I'll put a section in there, so you might have one that's like a bumper length episode that's an hour and a half long or longer, and there'll be some of the weekly updates for the other companies, but also it will feature me going through my write-up on DSW Capital, and I'm quite excited by it because it really is quite an interesting company, and I'm not going to be diving straight into it, and I'm going to hold off a little bit for myself from investing, give myself a bit of a cooling off period. But it's been a great research process, and I'm quite I'm certainly a lot more interested in investing myself after having done this research process, and it's going to be an interesting one to write up. There's some quite good stuff to say. So, yeah, so look out for that. We're also going to have, of course, by the 18th, so it'll be the first 2 or 3 weeks of January, we're going to have the results of the special meeting for Tiny Build. We'll find out whether the equity raise has been passed, how much was raised, etc., from retail investors. That's still the sort of final section, but it's a fairly minor component. Just sort of would be a maximum of a couple of million compared to the 12 million that's already been raised from Alex and Atari. And we'll get a bit of closure on that, and we'll be able to find out whether hopefully we can move on either way. If it doesn't pass, something else will happen. Maybe we'll have to just wait and find out, see what happens there. But so that's quite a lot in the first month of next year, I think, to look forward to. Also thinking to maybe I've seen I know quite a few different channels, etc., and do sort of Q&A sessions or ask me anything sessions, whatever you want to call it. If that is of interest to people, let me know, and I could maybe make that something a feature of the. I don't know whether but maybe I would. Maybe it would be part of the newsletter as well. But certainly could be something I talk through here. If anybody's got any particular questions they want to ask me, and I mean that's something you can do anytime anyway. But if we had this particular one, that the questions were then put into the actual newsletter or the episode, let me know if that's something of interest, and I can start doing stuff like that, like scheduling Q&A sessions. But anyway, I think that will wrap it up for this week and this year. I'll see you all in the next episode, and Happy New Year for everybody. And see you then.